Good evening and welcome to another NTX live stream. Tonight I'm going to be talking about how to plan and how to train freediving in a lockdown. So it's going to be a couple of angles. The first is if you're going to learn from scratch, so how to begin to learn freediving during a lockdown, and by its very nature, you can use this information. If you're watching this video next year in the middle of winter, it's a perfect way of learning how to freedive in the middle of winter when you can't get in the open water, when the season's far away, and etc. etc. But more than that, this is a way that every single one of you can plan your training from now going into the summer. So useful techniques, obviously the title is for lockdown times, but everybody can use it. Okay, so before we go any further, a couple of kind of notifications or information. You may notice that I've got the new picture behind us now. That's Freya diving in Greece. I took a couple of years ago, and I have my new cast on my hand. So this, you may think, what's that got to do with anything? Well, I'm going to be holding up pieces of paper that I wrote about my planning, about my diving, and well, I can't write it very well with a broken hand, so I apologize in advance about the quality of the writing because of my hand. Okay, so a couple of updates. We now know that the open water sessions are probably starting the end of March, so March 29th, and the pools are going to be opening up, staged. I've spoken to a couple of the pools and they're staging the opening, and it's going to be from the 17th of May. Okay. We've got some caving trips in April. So open water opens on the 29th of May, so we've got some caving trips because we're allowed to travel in the UK and do some overnight staying. So we've got some caving trips happening in April, some open water sessions in April, and then we've got a trip to North Wales at the end of May, and then kind of June onwards our calendar is full. So that's just a bit of housekeeping. Okay, so without further ado, let's move straight into the topic. How to learn to freedive in lockdown or in winter if you can't get out of the house. Okay, so take a piece of paper. I suggest you do it now, but you can do it later if you want to rewatch this. And this is the same if you are experienced freediver, just looking at your training going forwards, or if you've never trained before. Okay. And the first thing I really want you to do is to write at the top of your sheet of paper, number one, objective and a reason. Okay, so the objective, as if you've watched any of our live streams before, you'll know that time and distance are not a good objective. Okay, but in the situation we are now, you're going to be looking towards a trip in June, or May, June, July, whenever, that you want to do something specific on that trip. Okay? So it gives you a nice objective to aim towards. But also super important is you write the reason on there. Okay? So what's the reason? And if you've never been freediving before, write down in big letters the reason why you want to freedive. Okay, because you can keep going back to that, and it's the most powerful thing you can have, a reason. Because here's an example: if you've never freedived before and you start training, you're working real hard, and you get caught up in the numbers. So that's not what we want. Okay, so it kind of gets, you do get caught up in the numbers, and then somebody comes along and you have how long you can hold your breath. And then somebody comes along and goes, oh, I've never trained before and I can hold my breath 30 seconds longer than that, look. And they hold their breath for 30 seconds longer than you, and you could get really upset by that. That could really knock you back. Okay, but if you've got a reason written down, like, I want to enjoy being underwater, I want to enjoy some time with a turtle. Okay, so quite specific reason, but something that made you want to learn to free dive. Then this person who's just come along and they can hold their breath longer than you don't care, because your reason for diving isn't how long you can hold your breath. It's not being able to hold your breath for a certain amount of time. It's, well, I don't care how long they can hold their breath, I still can go and enjoy diving with a turtle, or whatever it is. Okay, so so here's my my two. So this is what I was saying earlier. I've written them down on my sheet of paper. Can we see this? Can we get it? We can't. The light's just too bright. That's dreadful. I hadn't practiced this, had I? So I need to get fit. I've written that. It's only handwritten. So get fit by the 10th of June. So because I'm going to master on the 10th of June, and that's diving fit. Okay, it's not just fit. It's diving fit. Okay, get diving fit by the 10th of June, which is 14 weeks away. And that's my objective, and my reason is I want to enjoy Valhalla. Okay, so we've got a dive site called Valhalla, and I didn't really dive it particularly well last time we were there, which was 2 years ago. So I really want to be fit to be able to enjoy it. And for me, enjoying a dive is not only diving, but also filming and getting a sense of, the feel of the dive. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, there's 5 points we're going to work on. So that's number one. Okay, number two, start a plan. Okay, so you want to start writing this down, a plan for yourself, and keep referring back to your objective. Keep referring back to what made you want to start this training. Start this training. Okay, what's your objective? Okay, so I've written down here, and again, you won't be able to see it because the light's too bright. If I move back, maybe you can see it. There's that. No, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it. You don't need to know the specifics. You just need to be able to see how badly written it is. So my first 4 weeks. Okay, point one. I've written fitness, flexibility, and breath hold. Okay, that's what I'm going to be working on. The second 4 weeks, I'm going to be looking at my kit and my relaxation. Okay, and that's because the open water session starts then. And the third one is finning and headspace. Okay, so that's when we get back in the pools. Okay, so I really want to get in the pools and work on my headspace and my finning techniques, obviously. And then last is specific. So I'm looking at my equipment and looking at projects, and that's the last 2 weeks. So I've got a nice plan, really easily written out, and you can't see it at all, can you? It's dreadful. Kind of shield it. Okay, so it doesn't have to be well written. Okay, it's only for you. But there's my 4 sections of my training. So the first section is flexibility, fitness, flexibility, and breath hold. Second one, that's for 4 weeks. The second one for 4 weeks. Third one for 4 weeks. And the last 2 weeks is specific stuff. Now this is for me, for my objective, which is the 10th of June. It's set in stone because that's the day the flight takes us out there. Okay. And a word on some of the planning. pretty much everything in freediving can be broken into three kind of parts, which is strength, flexibility, and technique. Now, try and break down your training, whatever your training is, whatever you're thinking about doing. Try and think of it in those three ways. Now, it's not going to fit perfectly for everything you want to do, but it's going to help you trying to break it down into the three areas. Even if it doesn't break down, you're going to be thinking about the training and how you can kind of fit it into your life, etc., etc. Okay. So, for instance, breath hold. Okay, so that's quite specific. I've just got an app, and I'm just running through the app at the moment. I've not done any training for months and months and months. So I've just started with one of the simple apps. Just set it up. Just get me into the swing of some sort of breath holds. And I've got flexibility, strength, and technique. Okay, so how does breath hold split into these? Well, flexibility would be, can I do the tables sitting on the floor? Can I do the tables sitting on a chair, in different positions, watching TV, not watching TV? These are flexibility. Okay, it's tenuous, but it's getting me to think, how can I make it flexibility? What? And then I'm going to be practice it in different locations. Okay, strength. That's simply, can I, how hard the tables are. I come away from a table that was hard last week and is easy now, so I've got stronger. Okay, and technique, I'm really drilling down into what breathe up I'm using and trying stuff out, especially when effectively I'm starting from scratch again. Okay, just trying different warm-ups, different techniques to get myself in the zone. So that's just an example of how you can break up something like breath hold, which is one of my things I'm doing these 4 weeks, and how I can look at it in three different ways: strength, flexibility, and technique. Just an example. Okay. So I've got this. So the next 4 weeks, so pretty much the whole of March, I'm looking at these three things: fitness, flexibility, and breath hold. Well, breath hold, I've already said I'm just doing some tables at the moment. I might do some walking tables, but pretty low key. Just find it and trying to do it. Flexibility, well, for the time being, you know what the flexibility is. It's just going to be bedtime stretches. If you know what bedtime stretches are, watch some other videos. I'll try and put the which ones you should watch in the links. Okay, flexibility, also shoulder stretches. Okay, because I know what I'm going to be doing. So again, really low key. Bedtime stretches take like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and I can do that every day. Okay. And fitness. So I've picked some fitness that fits in with my life, the fitness that I want to do. So there's no point in me saying, go running. If you don't like running, then you're not going to do it. Cycling, go cycling. Cycling's the best. If you don't like cycling, you haven't got a bike, then you're not going to do it. Okay. So for me, I've just picked fitness because I know I'm unfit, and what fitness exercises can I fit into my life? So, with that, so I've got these ideas of what I want to do. So number 3 is I'm going to draw up a schedule. Now, I've said this to many people, and I'll continue to say it. A schedule is only good if you've got one. It's completely useless if you haven't got one. So, draw up a schedule for your week, how your life fits into that week, and stick it on the fridge. Doesn't matter if you live on your own, live with other people, it's on the fridge, it exists. Okay? And try and do something every day. At the moment we're looking really soft and we're looking really kind of general. Okay, so you're not going to get completely knackered doing your breath hold tables, because these are just the first tables that you're starting to starting to train with, or starting to get back into training with. So you can do a breath hold table, and you can do flexibility. Well, you can always do flexibility. You can do a breath hold table, and you can do fitness on the same day. Right? So little and often. That's the key. At this point, it's little and often, and try and mix it up, but definitely have a schedule on your fridge. Now, what are you going to put on your schedule? You're going to put, well, I can roll with Junior on Mondays, so that goes straight in there. Mondays, it's solid, can't move it, that's the day I do it. I've got some skating I want to do, and I can do that on Fridays, so that goes in straight in the schedule. I can't move those 2 days. And then I've got some weight training, which a friend's helping me out with, and he's available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Bang! So already, my schedule for the week is kind of set. Okay. And in fact, I mean, I'll try and show you, but my last, my third section here. Okay, so I've got weights, skating, rolling, and flexibility and holding, breath holding, and that's going to be every day. So again, just handwritten. This is my first 4 weeks, period 1. That's what I'm going to be doing. Okay. I've written it down. I've got it here. I'm going to put it on the fridge. That's what. So I know. Everybody else knows in the house what I'm doing. Now they may never look at it, but it actually exists, and that's important. That you make that schedule, and you say it to the world. This is what I'm going to be doing. Don't beat yourself up if you can't do everything on every day. But it's also a reminder that you get up in the morning. Okay, what am I doing today? Okay, it's that. It's weight training tonight, so that's fine. I've got a day off. Not a day off, but I can. I've got that planned for the evening, so I can do other stuff during the day. But the other thing that I really insist people do is have something on every day. Now you may say, well, Saturdays are super busy. I can never train on a Saturday because I've got kids, or I go and see my parents, or whatever it is you do on a Saturday. But you've got to have something on a Saturday. I mean, not only does the bedtime stretches take about 1 minute that you can do just before sleep, or just when you wake up. I mean, that's kind of beside the point. You have to have something on every day, because one Saturday you may not have the kids. You may not go and see your parents for some reason. So then you got a day, if you've got something on there, you can instantly go, oh cool, well I've got that on there. I've always wanted to investigate breath hold tables, walking tables or something. Okay. So you have it on there just in case. Okay. But as I say, if you can't fit a bedtime stretch in a day, then you're doing the wrong spot. You're doing the wrong spot. Okay. And then we're going to look at specifics. Okay. So this is where you're going to drill down. And to be fair, I've not on my sheet here. I've written number 4. You might be able to see that. None. Because in period 1, if you've just started freediving, or if you're just getting back into freediving, or you're starting on a training program that's kind of looking a couple of months ahead, specifics don't really come into it too much. Okay, don't be too caught up on specifics. Okay. However, saying that, I've got a project in June, which involves a filming project. I need to get some new equipment, so I've actually put none. Well, actually, I'm looking at camera equipment, so that is fairly specific to me, and I kind of got to do it now. So don't worry about specifics in period 1. When I do part 2 of this video will be on March the 29th. March the 29th. I'm going to do part 2, and I'm going to be talking about my second period, and part 3 at the end of April. And I'm going to be talking through what you can put into that specific in the 4th part on your sheet. And number 5, which you cannot fill out no matter what you're doing, review. Okay. you can't review until you've done it. Okay, but to be fair, part 5 review is the most important part of your training. If you don't review what you've done, you cannot learn. That's it, black and white. Learning comes from reviewing what you've done. Okay, so get yourself a diary and write about every training session. Doesn't matter what training session it is, doesn't matter how it fits into your training, write about it. Looking back on your training will blow your mind. You think you'll remember how hard that first session was. You think you'll remember how hard that, or how easy that breath hold table was. And that's because you are living there, having just done that training table, having just done that exercise. And so it's fresh in your mind. But 2 weeks down the line, when you've done that many more exercises, that many more, you won't remember that specific day that was hard or easy. You just will not. There's no way you can do it. Write it down. So I've got my diary here. Got my pen on the front of it, ready to start going. So I start training today. So I'm going to write in the diary exactly what each session was about. You don't have to write loads, just have to write something, because what you write will be key. It will be. Feels a bit weird when you start, because you're like, well, I remembered that the session was hard. Why am I writing it down? Because in 2 weeks' time you won't remember it was hard. But the more important thing than that, the more important thing than being able to look back and, wow, I remember how hard that session was now. Now I've looked back in a diary. But more important than that is patterns. You can start drawing patterns. When you've got a diary for 5 sessions, 10 sessions, you can start looking back and start drawing conclusions as to what patterns were there. And I cannot tell you what the patterns are. Believe me, if I could, I would tell you now. But I can't tell you. But they will be there, and they will be really, really important to you. The examples I've given in the past, and are maybe your breath hold tables. You work through them, and you look back and you go, every Tuesday, my breath hold tables are hard. I've written them and I've looked back, and every Tuesday my breath hold tables, and there's nothing else different. I'm doing the same table, same location, same everything, but they're hard on a Tuesday. So then you can look at what happens on a Tuesday. And it might be that you have a hard day at work on Tuesdays, or somebody else in the house is doing the hoovering on Tuesdays and they interrupt you. But you won't notice it as a pattern until you've written about it enough to be a pattern. Okay? And it will be so random that you won't notice it until you've written it down. So it's super, super important. Number 5, review. Okay? So if you've got any questions, please put them in the messages below. If you want to ask any questions about or book onto any other trips we're doing, welcome to. Put them below or DM me through Facebook. But that's my 5 points of how to start freediving during a lockdown. So number 1, write down an objective of where you want to get to and a reason why you want to get there, or a reason why you're freediving in total. Number 2, start planning between now and your objective, different stages, different parts that you can think about. Okay, don't plan like 3 years in advance. Okay, 3 months is fine. Then schedule. So start looking at what you can do in your week to touch those points that you want to do in your plan. And break it down to a little bit more specific. And if this is your first period, if this is your start, and you've never done anything before, specifics, you don't really know what they are, so it's not that important to be doing now. And I don't mean you don't know what they are because you're a beginner. You don't know what they are because you haven't started in the program. So even if you're a really experienced freediver and Okay, I've got a new objective, you're going to start working towards it. You need to start before you know what the specifics are. If you know what the specifics are already, then you're not going to be moving yourself on anymore. Okay, so these are specifics you're going to learn and put in. And number 5, review everything, every training session. Review. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. Any questions, pop them in the messages or DM me, and I shall see you next Monday, same place, same time. Thank you very much. Good night.